Picture this. You're juggling multiple calendars, trying to piece together your schedule across different platforms, and feel like you're constantly playing catch up. Sound familiar? Well, today I've got a game changer for you. Hey there, productivity enthusiasts. Christy here from DeSilva Life, and I'm about to introduce you to a tool that's going to transform the way you manage your time. Say hello to Morgen, your new best friend in the world of time blocking and calendar management. But here's the kicker. Morgen isn't just a scheduling app. It's the missing puzzle piece that seamlessly integrates with ClickUp, our favorite project management tool. And let me tell you, this integration is an absolute game changer. So if you're tired of bouncing between apps, struggling to keep your schedule in check, and you're craving a simpler way to get things done, then you're in for a treat. Stick around as we dive into the magic of Morgen and ClickUp working together to supercharge your productivity. But before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our latest productivity tips and tool recommendations. Let's dive in. Let's take it from the top. Okay, so you're gonna come ahead on this website and click on Get Started. If you do not have an account already, you will create one. And it actually just logged me into mine. So you'll go through there, and I actually am gonna go ahead and download the app. So I'm gonna click on download the app. I'm going to download it for Mac because this is on my iMac, and then go through the process of downloading this. BRB. All right, so let's click on Get Started. I personally love light mode. Everyone's different. If I already have my email, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add that here. It's gonna send me a code, and I'm gonna get that code. Okay, and now it's gonna have me start connecting my app. So let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. So I actually have this on my MacBook Pro. This is on my iMac. So I'm going to connect this account. I'm going to sign in with my Google. I'm going to go ahead and prompt this, click on continue, continue. And now it is successfully authenticated. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and put in all of these calendars. You can choose which Google calendars you want to put in, which you don't, and then I'm going to resync this data. Okay, so now you can see all of my calendars have been synced. I did leave off a few just because client meetings has like sensitive information. So then once you go ahead and sync your Google Calendar, the next thing you're going to do is go into the settings and click on connect a task integration. So from here, you can go ahead and add all these different accounts. So you could do Zoom, Teams, WebEx, Notion, ClickUp, Linear, Todoist, Google Tasks, all of these. So you could see that I have Zoom connected in here. I have ClickUp connected in here. So I would highly recommend integrating every single thing that you use into Morgen, because the beautiful thing about it too is you can always turn those integrations off. So, okay, you can also connect your calendar accounts. You can see the ones that are currently here. And now let's go through the actual features. So we're going to talk a lot about the ClickUp integration and how you can time block like a pro with Morgen, but I want to first highlight their calendaring features. So like I mentioned, you can see all of your calendars that you integrate here, and you can actually not only just manage them all in one place, but you can also do the same functionality that you can in those calendars. So if I go ahead and want to schedule a meeting with my team, so let's do DeSilva Life internal, and I wanted to create an impromptu team meeting about Morgen adoption, right? Then I can actually add the specific attendees that I want to be on that meeting. I can choose what time, what calendar, and then I'm gonna go ahead, I can choose if this is busy, free, tentative, out of office, put the location in there, and then I can send that meeting. That that is then going to send that over to my team where they can accept the invite, deny it, etc. And then it goes vice versa as well. If someone sends me a meeting invite, I can also accept it or deny it in Morgen itself. So it's not only connecting everything together, but you can also have that same functionality and just live in Morgen. So here you can see you have inbox, right? In the settings, you can go ahead and click on new task list. And let's say we want to call this personal. So you can create a color for it, make it personal, and then say, bring return to UPS, right? So you can do light task management in here where you're creating different lists, and then you can bring those tasks into the time block and then mark them as completed. So this is a super cool, sleek task management and calendaring system if you don't have a project management tool yet. Now, if you're just stumbling upon our channel, I actually run and own an agency. And so we have a bunch of different team members, so many different projects and clients and things. And so a project management tool is absolutely necessary for us, which is why we use ClickUp. But I am an avid time blocker. So when I found Morgen, it was like the missing puzzle piece that I needed. So I showed you how to create these different task lists. Let's create one more. We can call this business. And then you can see how you can, create different tasks underneath, bring them into the calendar. And then you can also just put tasks that are due today here, and it's going to funnel right into your inbox. Okay, so that's the basics of Morgen, and you can also look on their channel to get more in-depth tutorials, but now I really want to focus on the ClickUp integration. So let's pop over to the ClickUp side of Morgen. So now let's talk about how you can actually view these tasks. So if you go back into the settings, you can go ahead and edit the ClickUp preferences. You can choose how you want to group these. So you can do no grouping. You could do, right now you'll see I have it by list. So I went ahead and I minimized the due today, due tomorrow. So now you can see, okay, admin tasks, finance tasks, business development, etc. But say I wanted to group this by status instead. Then you can see now it's showing to do, in progress, on hold, ideas, etc. Now, if you know anything about ClickUp, you'll know that every single list may have a different workflow. So it doesn't really make sense. Not all my statuses are the same across our workspace. So that's why I prefer to group it by list. You can also choose to group it by tag, priority. Priority is a great one as well if you are a priority person. List, folder, category, meeting type, holiday type. So these are also task types, task status, frequency, etc. So then you can organize it again. So maybe I want to view it by list and then group it by priority. So in those lists, then you can see the different priorities. I definitely recommend looking through this and saying, okay, what works best for my brain and how I get things done. You can also choose to hide empty groups, and then you can decide what to order it by. I think ordering by due date is a really good one because then obviously it's just going to be ascending or descending, by what's coming up. I would assume that you would do first, but to each their own. And then filtering. You can actually decide if you only want to see specific lists. So maybe there are just a specific amount of lists that you work out of. The other thing about this is in the ClickUp preferences, you can either import all tasks or just the tasks assigned to you. I personally want just this task assigned to me because Morgen for me is my personal time blocking system. I can go into ClickUp to view all of the tasks in my workspace. Okay, so coming back to Morgen, then you can decide which labels you want to see. So if I click on none, that's going to be a lot less overwhelming for me personally, but there may be things that are super important. For example, I would say due date's important, priority. Maybe you want to see the status. If there are any tags, you can see that as well. I think those are helpful. Other than that, status as well, yes, can be helpful, but I personally do not like digital clutter. And so I like to just see the minimal amount of what I need to know about that task instead of a million things. Okay, so you can display which labels and then choose if you want to show scheduled tasks in here. I personally don't, because once I drag this onto my calendar and time block, I then do not want to see it on the left. Like, I just want my sidebar to be like, okay, here are things that you have to schedule in. And then you can also enable do today list, do tomorrow, do soon. So basically those are these here, right? And so you don't have to see these here, but I personally like seeing them. Maybe the do soon, I debate about that one, but it's nice to just see, okay, what's coming up next. Okay, now that we've gone through the settings and the boring stuff, let's talk about actually time blocking. So when you have these on your list, I'm going to go into today, and this is where the magic happens. So as you are planning out your week, I typically like to do this on Friday for the week ahead and do the whole week, because my meetings are pretty much set at that point. Then you can just come in here and literally drag the different tasks into your time block. And here you can go ahead, you can make them shorter or longer. The other thing to this as well is if you do use time estimates in ClickUp, if you can always click on the little icon here, it's going to open up this task in your ClickUp. So now you'll see, okay, it opens you right here. And if you do a time estimate, say I want this to be, I say this is going to take me 30 minutes. Now, when I go ahead and actually drag it in, it's just going to be set at that 30-minute block. Or if you don't use time estimates in ClickUp, you can literally just drag these right into your calendar, say, okay, this is what I think, how long this is going to take me. And now what's super cool is you can actually go through your day and check these off. And it's going to ask you if you want to track the 30 minutes spent against that actual task in ClickUp. Mind blown. So you're actually getting that time tracking reporting at the end of a day or week to know what you spent your time on. This is so valuable. Now, a couple other things here. If you say this only took me 15 minutes, I would recommend before you complete something, then you go ahead and you just make it the amount of time that it took you, mark it as complete, and then it'll say, do you want to track the 15 minutes? So you really want to get that accurate representation of how long it took. Now, another thing is, so let me go ahead and click track time. With the ClickUp integration, it will track time for you, but it will not go in and mark that task as completed. Now, this is actually a good thing in my opinion. They did a lot of research on this before deciding. It's because ClickUp has so many different types of workflows that it might not just be to do or complete. For example, when I am reviewing content for my team, it goes from design in progress to ready for review. And after it goes from ready to review, then it goes to ready to schedule. And then automations in ClickUp trigger to my assistant to go ahead and schedule that post. So if I just clicked this off as complete in Morgen, it would then mark it off as complete in ClickUp, even though it's not technically complete. There are other tasks like complete weekly KPIs. Yes, that's to do or complete, but not every single task functions that way, which makes sense that Morgen is built this way. But what's cool that Morgen has that ClickUp doesn't currently have is once I move that task in ClickUp, then it's off of my calendar. So Morgen, because it has these check marks and it holds that data, I can then see what I spent my time on, even if it's reviewing things, etc., even if it went to the next person. So I actually really love how this is designed, and I think it's so valuable for people that time block and time track. It makes it so much easier. Now, another note about time estimates and bringing in these time blocks. So if you estimate anything over 4 hours, Morgen will cap that at 4 hours to bringing in that time block. Now, you could still bring it in, but it's just going to show 4 hours. If you time estimated 6, then it won't. Reason being is because time blocking 101 is supposed to be working on a task like one task is considered 4 hours or less. So this gets into a whole discussion about, how you're actually mapping out your tasks for the day. So something to be aware of is, say I'm working on this task, right? End of week client update, and I want to break this up into 2 blocks. You can actually go ahead and copy and paste that event, and then you can just move that wherever you want. So that's also super quick and easy way to be able to say, okay, I'm working on this one task, but I'm going to break it into 2 blocks. All right, let's talk about some other features of Morgen itself. So going through these top items on the navigation bar, if you click on this circle, this is always going to bring it to that specific day. If you click the right or left arrows, it's then going to click next. So if you're on week, it'll go to the weeks. But if I'm in day mode, for example, here, you could do day, week, month, etc., then it'll just go to the next day, for example. So I'll bring it back and then bring it back into week. You can either use this navigation bar here or actually click these hotkeys itself. So you saw I went to day by just clicking D, go to week by just clicking W. Now, if you click on this circulating arrows button, it's going to fetch all updates or do a hard refresh. You can also click Command R and it'll do the same thing. And then let's take a moment to chat about time zones. This is such an awesome feature that I love, especially when it comes to collaborating with a remote team. We have team members all over the country and the world, and so utilizing this is going to be so helpful. So here you can see I have added the time zones of Argentina, Lisbon, Portugal, and then Mexico City. You can add any time zones that you want by just clicking through here, searching them, and you can also delete time zones. Once you actually add those time zones, you can hover over an event and click Shift, and it's going to show you all of the time zones for the cities that you have selected. Love this feature and the UX of this. Or if you're hovering over the timeline itself, say you're like, hey, I want to see 2 p.m., maybe scheduling a meeting there, then you can also see the different time zones available that you've added as well. Then you can go into here, like I mentioned, you can show day, week, month, agenda, 2 weeks, or custom. You can choose to show weekends or not. I preferably don't because I don't typically work on weekends. You can widen the current day like you see I have here. If you don't, it'll just be the same as the others, but I like to have that emphasis on the day that I'm currently in. You can also dim past events. So the same thing there. I just feel like using this feature, I personally am such a visual person, and being able to just focus on what I'm focusing on for the day, this really helps me. I also love just going into day mode by clicking D and then just boom and boom going through my tasks and my meetings. So let me go back to week and go through these again. You can show declined events, and then you can merge duplicate events. So I actually love this feature as well because when I'm in Google, I don't love when things are like piling on top of each other, and I have some things that like will automatically duplicate itself from one calendar to another. So if you look at these gradient events here, that is because I have this merge duplicate events on. So if I don't, you're going to see that they're going to show double time. And so this is basically just seeing, if you click the info, it's reducing the clutter because it's events that are merged based on their title, start and end time. So then it's that gradient because it's actually combining those 2 calendar colors. So again, Morgen's whole goal is to make your life easier and allow you to feel this sense of calm and ease when you're managing your schedule and your tasks. I honestly feel like Morgen's whole UX was made for me and my brain. It is just so visually pleasing and allows me to stay focused on whatever I have for that day, week, month, etc. I just focus in on those specific things, go through my time blocks, take my meetings, and it makes my life so much easier. And then lastly, you can also click on this magnifying glass and search for events. So say I wanted to search for the shop rebuild call, then you can see those things here. You can click into it and it's going to highlight that event. It's going to show who's going to be there, the different time zones, all the things you need to know about it. Okay, now let's go ahead and move on to some of the other amazing Morgen features. Now, I'm not going to dive deep into these. I just want to highlight them. This tutorial was more to show the functions of the calendaring and task management and time blocking of Morgen, but it can do so many other things that I just want to introduce to you as well. So if you click on open invites, this is going to be where you can share your availability with someone and they can just choose a calendar slot to book with you. Then you can set up booking pages as well. So this is very similar to Calendly, like I mentioned, and we use HoneyBook. So we're not exploring this at the moment, but this is where you can create your availability and people can book meetings with you. And then also Morgen Assist is in beta. It's where it's automating your calendar with customizable workflows. So I would love to do another video on this in the future if you guys are interested diving into these features a bit more. But I just wanted to show you the different things that they do have available and chat through them real quick. Now I want to highlight Morgen's amazing team features. So if you manage a team, allowing your team members to have their own Morgen account that's then synced with yours is a game changer. So you'll see here over on the left sidebar, you can add your team. So I've added the DL team here. You can have multiple different teams as well. And then you can pin different team members. So you can see that I pinned Jeff, Andrea, Fernanda. These are things that maybe you want to pin all your team members, or maybe you just want to pin the ones that you collaborate with most often. So by clicking into here, I can immediately see the visibility of my team members' calendar and what they're working on. Now you can also set different preferences if you don't want to see exactly what that team member is working on or exactly what's in their calendar, then it'll just show busy. It won't show that specific event name. The other thing that you could do is say I wanted to schedule an impromptu meeting right now, say team meeting or whatever it's for. Then you can go ahead and add these attendees. Say I wanted to add Andrea and I wanted to add Jeff. Well, I can toggle on this check availability and it's either going to show green if they're available. If I go into a time that they're not available, let's click here. It's going to show as red and say they're not available. And you can see that when I did it right now, it'll also show yellow. So if it's yellow, it's saying the attendee is available, but be aware that the meeting can cause the attendee 15 minutes of fragmented time. So basically being like, okay, if we have a team meeting here and then Andrea is on lunch, it might kind of disturb her work block here. If I do this for, say, Fernanda and I wanted to add her, you'll see that right now she has an even bigger block that it's going to say this is going to cause the attendee 90 minutes of fragmented time. So it's basically saying there are other things in their calendar where this is a big open work block that it might not be an ideal time for them. Whereas if I go closer to a meeting, it's going to be like, okay, they're available. This looks good. And then lastly, you can also see down here, you can shoot into the calendar. And so you can choose specific dates that it'll bring you right to. So say I'm on day and I go back into here, then you can see you can bounce between those specific dates if you want to see what's going on. I'll go back to week. And then lastly, you can open up your settings, manage your profile, preferences, plan. This is basically where you're going to be able to edit all of your settings. And that is it for the walkthrough of one of my new favorite tools. I am so thrilled about this tool and I'm so excited to be partnering with them to educate you guys on it because it is really something that's been missing in the industry because we all use different tools. Some people even use different project management tools for like business and personal. For example, some people use ClickUp for business and Notion for personal. And so being able to bring every single thing into one platform, it's so visually pleasing to the eye, and be able to time block like a pro, your productivity is about to skyrocket. I hope you are as excited about Morgen and ClickUp as I am. Remember, to stay updated on all our latest productivity tips and tool recommendations, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you're ready to take your scheduling game to the next level, why not give Morgen a try? Sign up for your free trial today using the link in the description below and experience the magic of seamless time blocking for yourself. Trust me, you won't regret it. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.